Alaska, the last frontier, a bucket list kind of place, full of snow-capped mountains, crisp air, and an abundance of animals. This destination is filled with a little something for everyone. On an Alaskan vacation, you'll discover a connection with the abundant natural beauty and culture of the 49th state. Depending on the time of year you visit, you can experience glacier excursions, a Northern Lights tour, mountain adventures, wildlife watching cruises, or Alaska Native cultural experiences. In this video, I'm going to give you my complete itinerary for visiting Alaska in 5 days to hopefully inspire you to also enjoy the last frontier. Welcome to Alaska! Alright, well, I am here at my first night in Alaska, and we are going to take you through the entire itinerary of what I did on my trip to Alaska and what I'm going to recommend you do. First, we landed in Anchorage. So we took a flight from San Diego, had a layover in Seattle, Washington, and then Seattle to Anchorage. Each leg was about 3 hours long. And not that bad. It took about a 10-minute drive to our hotel and are staying at the Embassy Suite, which is actually quite beautiful on the inside. So let me show you what it looks like and what my room looks like. This is the room. We have a nice little kitchenette over here. You have a desk you can work on, a couch, and there's actually like 2 rooms to this hotel room. So you have the living room here, and then your suite over here, the bedroom. Nice big bed. Hopefully it's comfy. Of course, a bathroom. My room has a beautiful view of the mountains, which is just making me so excited for this trip. So here behind me, we have a billiards room and the library. They also have an area that has nice dining and a lounging area right when you enter the lobby with couches and a beautiful sound of a waterfall. They have a fitness center and then a nice little pool area. It's actually extremely hot in here, but looks a little relaxing if it's a cold day out. And my first order of business is to pack up all the goodie bags. First up, we have Welch's Fruit Snacks going down the lineup. Next up, everyone gets a little chapstick. We have some liquid IV, scrunchies for everyone. Got Bear Bells, some good old Cliff Bars. Let's get started. It is off to pizza for dinner. I hosted this group trip to Alaska in June of 2022, and for our first night, we headed to Moose's Tooth in Anchorage for pizza. The first day and last day will be counted as travel days, and the rest of this video will be the 5 days in Alaska. Day 1, you're going to be traveling from Anchorage to Denali National Park. Make sure to keep your eyes on the road and look for Denali as you're driving along, because sometimes she comes out and that's the only time. This is about a 4-hour drive total, so about 2 hours in, make a stop for lunch at Denali State Park, and hopefully you can see a view of the mountain. Time for some lunch, and we are at a little pool off area, hopefully looking to see Denali, but you walk up and this is what you see. Denali should be back there, but it is quite hazy out. Might be smoke. I heard there's fires going on, so maybe if you come here you'd be able to see Denali. The peaks of the Alaskan range are so high that they create their own weather system, which often unfortunately hides the scenery. Regardless, this stop makes for a great lunch spot, and it's called Denali State Park. It has lots of maps and informational signs that you can read about. Here you will also find a short little hike to the top with a lookout point where, if Denali was out, it would be absolutely stunning. Makes for a great picture spot and a great spot to relax before you head out on your next adventure, a 2-hour drive to whitewater rafting. Let's go! There are 2 different whitewater rafting companies in Denali National Park, and we went with New Wave Adventures. We booked the Canyon Wave Raft Tour, which is a 3.5-hour tour taking you through Class 3 and 4 rapids. On this journey, you'll travel through 11 miles of awesome rapids on the Nenana River with spectacular views of Denali National Park above you. The cost was $120 per person, which includes the tour and these dry suits that keep you completely dry. You can even jump in the water with them. You also receive shoes, paddles, and helmets with a life jacket. So let's go get on some rapids. This concludes day 1 of your Alaskan adventure. We chose to camp at Denali Grizzly Bear Campground right outside the national park. Campsites are $32, but they also have tent cabins and a resort here. Camping here was not the best. As you can see in this video here, it is next to a freeway, so it was very loud at night. But stay tuned because I have a tip for you later in this video as to where you should camp. Camp dinner tonight consisted of beef and fish tacos with all the toppings, of course, and an Alaska beer as we all hung out together and reminisced on the day before heading out for our next adventures on day 2. Today is all about exploring Denali National Park. Formerly known as Mount McKinley National Park, this park was renamed Denali in 1980. Spanning over 6 million acres of the Alaskan wilderness, this makes it one of the largest national parks and can be comparable to the state of Massachusetts. When visiting, guests must ride the shuttle bus after the first 15 miles to gain access to the rest of the park. On your ride, you are looking for the Big Five: bears, moose, wolves, caribou, and sheep.
Here's a little bear safety talk for you. Now, you always want to hike in groups. Definitely hike in at least a pair of 2, the more the merrier, but preferably at least 3. So Alaska is definitely grizzly bear territory. So if you do see a grizzly bear, well, first of all, you can be carrying bear spray. But second of all, grizzly bear, you want to play dead. First, you want to act big, and like if you're with people, stand together. And then if it comes toward you, closer, starts attacking, act dead. Black bear, different. First, you still start making yourself big, and then if it comes close, acting like it's going to attack you, you fight back. Now, what is the difference between a grizzly bear and a black bear? Don't base it off colors. What you're going to want to look for is the grizzly bears have a hump on their back, and black bears don't.
Unfortunately, last year there was a landslide at mile 45, so we could no longer access the entire 92 miles of this one-way road into Denali National Park.
So we're in Denali National Park. We've made it to the last stop that the bus takes you, and then you hike up the road, 2 miles up along the road. And why are we hiking this? Well, because there was a landslide that occurred at the end of the season last year. You can no longer get past that road or that spot without hiking to it. So we're gonna take a look at what this landslide looks like. Along the way, we're looking for some sheep, some bears. It's a little hazy out from the smoke, but we still got some pretty views. Let's keep pressing on.
We'll hike along the road that the shuttle once drove. Once you reach the top, you can view the landslide, and hopefully on a clear day, you'd even be able to see Denali itself. At the top is a great spot to have your lunch or have it down by the river before hopping back on the shuttle and heading out of the park. Prior to departing Denali National Park for the day, I recommend that you do the Horseshoe Loop Trail, which is an easy 4-mile trail. It is a loop trail that brings you through the forest and alongside the Nenana River, which you whitewater rafted yesterday. The west part of this loop is particularly scenic as it hugs the shore of the lake along a very steep slope. Make sure to bring your bug spray though, because there are tons of mosquitoes around. And once you finish this loop trail, I recommend checking out the visitor center to grab all the gear and paraphernalia that you might want to buy. Finally, head back to camp for tonight. But here's my little secret. I recommend that you change your booking and book the campsites next to the river. It's a lot more peaceful, you won't hear the freeway traffic going by at night, and you get to wake up to some beautiful views. Day 3 is your long driving day, planned for about 7 hours of driving from Denali National Park towards Seward. If you have the time and are visiting Alaska during the right season, then I recommend adding on Hatcher's Pass to your drive. This is a very scenic drive set in the Talkeetna Mountains between the towns of Willow and Palmer. This road winds through the mountains for roughly 60 miles.
Typically, it is open in the summer months starting around July 4th, and you technically need a high clearance vehicle to get all the way through. The road is gravel for 22 miles and can be rough at certain parts of it. There are many areas to stop along the way with beautiful scenic lakes and great spots to have some lunch, so if you can add this onto your trip, I highly recommend it. From here, we will continue on our drive towards the town of Seward for a few more hours. This highway that you will be driving along has been designated one of the most beautiful drives in the entire world. It offers dramatic views of the coastline and mountains along Turnagain Arm for approximately 40 miles. There are plenty of stops you can make along the way, including Beluga Point and Bird Point, where you can see some pretty epic views. Turnagain Point, or Turnagain Arm, is one of the places in the world that has the most extreme changes in tide. It can change up to 30 feet. As you are driving through Alaska, as always, don't forget to look for animals along the side of the road, including bears, eagles, belugas, and plenty more. Before arriving to your campsite for the night, make sure to stop at Bear Creek Wire to see the sockeye salmon jumping up the river as they move their way along the river.
All right, tonight for dinner, we are doing the hobo meal, specialty of Brian, our guide. So we got some good stuff for dinner. You take all this good stuff.
Let me wear this exact outfit tomorrow.
Some oil and foil. Add in all the toppings: potatoes, bell peppers, onions, cheese, reindeer meat,
Reindeer sausage.
reindeer sausage. Wrap it all up in here, and then put it on the fire.
Camp tonight is at Forest Acres in Seward. It is right outside of the town of Seward. It makes for a great and beautiful spot to camp, and you can even roast marshmallows and enjoy your time together. Day 4 is all about marine life. You're going to head into the town of Seward and book a tour with Major Marine Tours for their 6-hour Kenai Fjords National Park cruise. The cost of this boat ride is about $179 and departs at 11:30 a.m. On your trip, you have the opportunity to see orca whales, humpback whales, sea lions, puffins, eagles, and a lot more seabirds. This trip includes a deli lunch, as well as captain narration and interactive programs for kids. You will also get to spend time in front of a towering tidewater glacier and watch for calving, where giant chunks of glacial ice break off and crash into the water. Now listen to the sound of these humpbacks. Definitely dress warm for this boat ride, as it tends to be cold out on the water, and also make sure to take some Dramamine if you tend to get seasick. Oh, and this humpback whale is pretty cool. Your final day in Alaska, and personally, my favorite day. You're going to head from Seward to Kenai Fjords National Park. Here is where you hike the famous Harding Icefield Trail hike along the Exit Glacier. Now this hike is not for the faint of heart. You will definitely need to come prepared with tons of water and snacks, and be bear prepared as you are on this hike. This trail starts on the valley floor and winds through cottonwood and alder forest, passes through filled meadows, and ultimately climbs above the tree line.
So there's 2 spots, or 3 spots actually. Marmot Lookout is the first stop. That's about 1.4 miles in. Top of the Cliffs Lookout is about 0.8 more from that Marmot Lookout, and then the end of the trail is 4.1 to the very end, and it's about 3,500 feet elevation gain.
The trail offers breathtaking views of the Icefield, but it is rated as strenuous. Plan to spend at least 6 to 8 hours on this hike.
Okay, we made it to the second point of this hike, the Harding Icefield Glacier hike. This is called the top of the trail. So we are taking a nice little break on this beautiful day here, and gonna eat some lunch and enjoy the views and take some fun pictures.
Make sure to check trail conditions ahead of time, as the last section of this hike may contain snowy patches and you might need some crampons. 5-day trip in Alaska, I recommend heading into the town of Seward, making a list of all the animals you saw, grabbing some Alaskan beer, and spending a fun night checking out the bars, playing ping pong, and dancing the night away with your friends or family, and reminisce on your time in Alaska.